So you all know who we are, but just, hi, it's Ross.
Hi.
So basically this call is, in the past, as all of you know, the Thursday night meeting has been very, very, very heavy with liability and risk management and all the stuff that no one really wants to hear for HOBY, but they have to hear for HOBY. And so that's what this call is going to be, the majority of this call, but also it's going to be a space to talk about some of the new changes we've made and also like our program and some expectations and things that we expect and also things to bring. So we want to start just by, as we know you have seen, there's been a lot of changes this year. Our entire director team, other than our director of programs, Alyssa, we're all new to our positions. We served in other positions in some capacity, but we're all new to our positions. And this has really been a year of turnover, a year of change, a year of really taking a lot of very hard decisions, making a lot of hard decisions, and a lot of really using evidence that we have seen and data that we've collected to hopefully make the best program that we can.
We say this mostly because we want you to keep an open mind about everything that you will do and see and hear and experience. We have created several different feedback loops for you that, depending on the urgency, depending on whether it will have a ripple effect to things that will happen later in the seminar, will decide which sort of platform you should use. So we encourage you to be open and honest with us about everything that you feel. And we promise that we will be open and receptive to the feedback that you have. However, in doing that, please remember that there are several people who have worked year-round on this program. And as he said, all of the decisions that we have made have been as evidence-based and strategic as possible. So we say this only because the experience that you will have will be very different in many ways than the experience that many others have had in recent years. And again, we encourage you to be communicative about what you see and hear and like and don't like, but please be mindful of who is present when you do that. By all means, have a conversation, but please don't be comparing years when ambassadors are present. Because this, for many of them, this is the only experience that they will have.
And this only pertains to people who will be watching this as a recording. So do not do what I'm about to say if you are currently live on this call, but if you are listening in the future to this as a recording, at some point during this call, I will say a keyword, and you must text it to me when you hear it, because I have to know that you have heard this information. So that is for the people listening to this when it is in the future as a recording, not for those who are on the call. So when I say it, don't text me if you are currently in this call. So if you are on your phone and you're not able to see our screen, go to your email and open the Guide to HOBY document that's sent to you in an email that I sent only about like 10 minutes ago. And so we're going to first kind of really dive into this new staff structure that we have. And so in the past, as you all know, we've had facilitators and we've had junior staff. There's been no distinction within that. It's just that we had a facilitator and junior staff. Now that we are larger, we're getting much more junior staff applications here, and we're moving to a new site. And we're doing much more operations-intensive activities. We have created a distinction between the two roles. And just a reminder, if you aren't talking, which is all of you at this point, please mute yourself because it'll create some feedback sound in the background. So you are all junior facilitators. So your role, in essence, really is not changing that much from what you saw when you originally came back as a junior staff member. So you're still with your group the entire time. You are still serving in the conversations. You're doing basically a lot of the same things you've done. However, you are now a part of this larger system that we have. And you will also have a team alumni who is a part of your group, and they will serve as both an operations and ambassador support staff member. So what that means is they will actually be serving as an operations member who will be pulled away at certain times to help make sure that we are absolutely prepared to do these really operations-intensive activities and tasks that they will do.
I just want to add two things. The first is that we heard you. Some of you talked to us after last seminar and said, hey guys, I was sitting towards the back of the auditorium, and whenever you needed to grab somebody, you kept grabbing me, and it really annoyed me. So this is to say, this is one way that we will be addressing that. The team alumni will not be with groups at all times because they have a dual role. So you should not be asked to do any sort of operations or program setup in any capacity like you may have been pulled in the past. However, if someone frantic walks up to you and says, I really need help, please don't say, no, that's not my job. The other thing I want to say is that we have changed your title because we want you to understand that this is the learning opportunity for you. You are technically in training to eventually, if you would like, to become a facilitator. So again, the facilitator is still the one who is primarily leading the discussion, but you should feel free when it is appropriate to contribute, but mostly just be a sponge and learn and take this as an opportunity to think about the way that they're asking questions, the way that students respond, the way that you can engage other students that are less active, that are more active. So we're making that change to your title, not because your role is changing, but because we want the way that you think about yourself to change.
And so also just a reminder at this point, you are all muted to reduce background sound. And so if you were to try to ask us a question, we will not hear you. But at the end of this, we will have a question and answer portion. So save your questions then, write them down or something if you have them. But we will go on to that so that we make sure we get through all of this material and respect your time, that we asked you only 1 hour to be on this call. And so that is what we will be doing. Now we're going to move into everyone's favorite part of Hobie, risk management. And so sit with us. You have to know all this information. You should already know it, but we really want to go through all of this to make sure you completely understand it, and that, because there's been issues in the past where we aren't all on the exact same page of understanding how things work. And we will go into this a little bit more on Thursday and even provide some scenarios to work through and kind of things that we have seen in our multiple Hobie experiences that we kind of go, I don't really know what to do there. And so we're going to, especially since you're returning, there may have been times last year where you were like, I really don't know what to do. So we have put systems in place where we will all know what we are doing. So Courtney is going to talk on this.
I'm going to take a minute, first and foremost, to talk about the buddy system. We know, like you said, we know that in practice, this can kind of be like okay, I know in theory that this means that I'm supposed to do this, but what about in this situation? So we will talk a little bit about that now, but much more in depth on Thursday. We want you to feel prepared so that whatever happens, you know how you're supposed to respond. I'm actually going to talk through all of the groupings with you because you will be with groups of students. First and foremost, the ambassadors. When we are all in the same space, so if, for instance, we are in the science complex, which is the main area where almost all of our programming will occur, and someone says, I need to go to the bathroom. You say, okay, fine, you need to take a buddy. Those students cannot go anywhere by themselves, and they are rooming with another ambassador who is of the same gender. If, for instance, they ask to go back to their room, the first question should always be, okay, why? Generally, that's not going to be permitted unless it's for emergency medication. We'll talk more about which medications they are permitted to have on them and which they are not. But in general, if for some reason there were an instance when it would be acceptable to go back to a room, this would be an instance when you would need two adult staff of the same gender to accompany them. But if we are all in the same space, they can go somewhere with a buddy. This is because we know that there are enough over 21s in the facility that they can't go very far. For the junior staff, there are a few of you. For the junior staff that are under 18, you fall in the same category as the ambassadors. If we are in the same building, you must always have a buddy of the same gender. If you're going beyond that, you need adult supervision. You are rooming with another junior staff member in your same age range, and you cannot be left unattended either.
Just to add to that, I know it's kind of easy, and I've fallen into this trap before where I'm like, I've been around the block, I've been here, I've done this, and then like, you know, I'm 19 years old, I can go to the bathroom myself, but, or I'm like 17 or whatever, however old I am, but I've been there before. We really cannot have anyone like breaking this system. This shouldn't be a thing to scare you, but we will have a representative of HOBY at our seminar, and so just keep in mind that we are always under watch, and also we are just a smaller part of a larger program, and we need to follow all of their rules.
For junior staff that are between the age of 18 and 20, you can be responsible for yourself. You're legally an adult, but you can't be responsible for anyone else. So if you're going somewhere within the building, you can go somewhere within the building. If you're going somewhere outside of the building, ideally you take a buddy with you. You'll be rooming with people who are between the age of 18 and 20. And then finally, those adult volunteers, the facilitators, they are legally responsible for everyone. They do not need the buddy system. They are the ones that you call on when you need the buddy system. So that means they can go where they need to go, and they are rooming with the other people who are 21 and up. There is no instance when someone above, when any staff member, regardless of their age, should be alone with a student. The reason that we do this is because we want to make sure that if for some reason anything happens that makes a student uncomfortable, there are witnesses and there's no, like, it's one person's word against another person's word. We also, this is another, again, this is another reason that adults do bed checks, and that the adults who do bed checks do not enter rooms. They stand at the door frame. just again to reduce risk. Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you, Ross. The next thing I want to talk about is mandatory reporting. Because HOBY is an educational organization, we are legally required to report a few things. And what I want to say about this is if a student, you are closer in age to the students than your facilitator will be. That may mean that they choose to tell you things they have not told anyone before, and that they would not choose to tell a facilitator. If there is something that somebody says that makes you go, I don't know about that, say something. The first line of defense in situations like that for you is your facilitator. If the facilitator goes, I don't really feel good about that, go to Ross or go to me. We are legally mandated to report. There are penalties for not reporting. The things that we are to report are the following. Suspicion of harm to self, suspicion of harm to others, and suspicion that the person has recently been harmed by somebody else. And these are not rules that apply only when they are on campus for those 3 days. It's 24/7, 365. You are responsible for them. Again, know that they may say something to you in confidence, but it is not private. You can let them know, you should let them know that we do this because we want them to stay happy and healthy at seminar year-round. So if they say something that raises concern, we're obligated to say something. For anyone who is, I think it's under 18, it might be under 21, we need to collect your medication. Everyone who filled out a form stack, who checked a box saying that you take a prescription, we will be collecting a prescription verification form for you when you arrive. That's a doctor's note saying that you are allowed to have this medication and that you need it. We have a medic on site. They will take your medication, including over-the-counter medications. The only medications that you are allowed to have on your person at all times are emergency medications. So if you have an asthma inhaler, if you have an EpiPen, if you have medications to manage diabetes, if you have allergy medication, that can stay on your person. If you have birth control, we're not going to take that. If you have medication for acne, we're not going to take that. But anything else, it needs to be turned into the medic. I hope that this is clear. There should be no discrimination or sexual harassment of any way, shape, or form while you are on campus. I trust that all of you are mindful about what you do and say. I don't expect this to happen, but I just want to be clear that I don't want, that there should be no discrimination of any sort on the basis of age, race, gender, color, economic status, disability, medical condition, gender identity, anything of the sort. That is not acceptable. Everyone needs to be treated equally and fairly, and just be extremely mindful about what you say, because even if you say something and you mean it as a joke, because the students are younger than us, and because they have had different life experiences, the way that they perceive the things that you say may not be the way that you meant them. So please, please, please be careful. If you hear something that you are suspicious of, you should report it. You may report it to either Ross or I. Please remember that you are a representative of HOBY. So there certainly will be, there should be connections that you make with your students throughout the weekend. We certainly encourage you to maintain those connections however you see fit. If that means that you add them on Snapchat, that's fine. Please be mindful of what you post. They will perceive you as a role model. If you choose to change the privacy settings that they can see on your Facebook, that's fine. Just please be mindful. And the other thing that I want to say in this category is that social media is a function of public relations. So also be mindful of the way that you talk about your experience to other people. In particular, I want you to be careful when it comes to talking about things like HOBY hangovers and the amount of sleep that you got. Because if you say something like, I got 3 hours of sleep, I'm exhausted, I have a hangover, we are a leadership program, how do you think that that reflects to the people who don't know anything about us? Probably not very nicely. So please, please, please be careful.
And I know that many of us in this group are college students. Just the idea, if you add them on Snapchat, you can block them from your story. I just learned this and I was like mind blown. But keep that in mind that whatever they see you're doing, they're going to think about it. And also, whatever you see on their social media, the fact of the matter is that the mandatory reporting goes all year long. So if you see a student saying something that may hint to suicidal ideation or anything like that, you are absolutely legally mandated to report it. And so it's your choice of whether or not you want to add them.
A couple last things before we move on from this topic and start talking about things that are much more fun than this. There should be no use of drugs or alcohol or tobacco in any way, shape, or form on the campus at any point in time. If that bothers you, I need to know, and we need to have a conversation. Also, because we are an educational program, there should be no sportsing of any kind. That means no jogging, no running. It also means no gymnastics at the dance. It means no jumping off of staircases. Anything that you see that could cause somebody to fall, please discourage it. Please don't say, we're not insured for that. Just say, your parents have trusted you in our care. We want to keep you safe.
It's often a tendency to just say the insurance doesn't cover that, and it becomes a joke across the entire seminar, and it puts a shadow on things because it's like, why don't they have a better insurance policy? Or questions like that. So say something more along the lines of what Courtney said. And yes, HOBY Pony will be allowed, but we won't be doing it all that much because obviously, you know, it's kind of difficult to do anyway. We'll probably only do it the first day.
If you have questions about this, we can take them at the end. And like we said before, we will make sure that we talk through situations once we get on site on Thursday.
So we're going to move forward to talking a little bit more about our program for this year. You are going to see a ton of changes. And as we said, they're all evidence-based, and we really think they will serve this seminar and our future leaders much better than they have in the past. So we're really, really excited about this. So we're just going to go really fast through all of these. And then on Thursday night, we're going to take a very, very deep dive. We will be doing demos of every single activity. so you have no question in your mind what you will be doing, at what point in each activity, and how you will be doing that, and what people will be doing, and what the point of the activity is. There will be no questions as to what we're doing or how we're doing it or what the point of it is done. And this is something that we have seen in the past. We've heard from people that during this activity I was lost. I didn't know what to do, so how was I supposed to help the students figure out what they were doing? That will not be the case, and if you're still having those questions at the end of our demos, we will be open to a conversation. We will figure out exactly how we're doing things.
We will provide you, the night before the activity occurs, you will see a demo of the activity. You will receive a layout of how the activity and the people will be stationed and set up, and you will receive a cheat sheet that tells you at this point you do this, this student with this role does this. So we will do our best to equip you as best as we can, but also please recognize that this entire seminar is an exercise in both group and personal leadership. There will be instances when we will depend on you to play a particular role, and if everyone plays the role that we have asked them to play, ideally we will see things happen in a magical way. But at the same time, there will be instances when students do things or things happen that are not as intended. In those instances, we will help you learn how to troubleshoot, but you will be using your personal leadership skills. So first thing on Friday, same as always, we'll have small group introductions. We will also do staff and group theme introductions first thing on Friday. So you will take the opportunity to quickly tell the group about your leader, and we will introduce the groups that way.
And then the new personal leadership activity that we'll be doing is called Build a Leader. And so basically what happens is they're just given a bunch of raw materials. So they'll get like balloons, they'll get popsicle sticks, they'll get just like a Mod Podge of like everything. Or hodgepodge, I don't know. But I think that's blue. Mod Podge is blue. But basically the whole point of this is so that they can really take a deeper dive into thinking about characteristics of leaders and different types of leadership. And throughout this activity, they will be split up in different ways among their groups, and we'll go through all of that more on Thursday. I'm not even going to go through like your roles, look at your role, but we will explain all of that on Thursday just for the sake of time. And then the next new activity is our group leadership activity, which is called Toxic Waste. And so as the objective says, basically using ropes, they will have a bucket that will be turned over, and there will be rubber ducks sitting on top of it, which is sitting in a radiation zone. So basically the duck is safe. Yeah, it's just a circle. But how it works is they need to get it and drop it into another space so that the duck is now safe from the radiation. But there will be different things that will be hard for them. If they cross a limb into that circle, that limb is now gone because of the radiation. So they will have to hop on one foot, or they'll only have one arm to use. And
some of the people won't be able to see, some of the people won't be able to talk. So it should be very amusing for you to watch, and it should be very tricky for them. But our goal is to get all different types of people involved in a way that they have not been able to be in the past.
And then on Friday, we'll have a pep rally again. It'll be led by Ryan Moran, as he'll be speaking earlier that day, I believe. Same thing as always, but as you've noticed, I believe you would hopefully have noticed in the yearbook that we are now broken up into sections. And so how, if you kind of remember with the pep rally, we were broken up into colors, and it was like this group through this group is red, this group through this group is green. We're actually using that as a full seminar thing this year. And as a part of that, some of our facilitators will serve as section leads. And their role will be, since we have a ton of new facilitators this year, almost every single one of our facilitator, other than like 3 or 4 of them, is brand new to facilitating at Michigan Hobby and Hobby in general. And so they will serve as kind of like a first line of questions. And you will receive, and every member of your group will receive a bandana in your section color. So when you're picking out swag, try to stay away from bandanas because they will receive one. If you already bought them, that's fine, and if they're absolutely like, wow, this is the best bandana ever, it perfectly matches my theme, it has this random thing on it that makes perfect sense, that's okay, but if you're just trying to get them something, don't do a bandana.
On Saturday, Saturday is going to be a bit different than it has been in the past because the majority of Saturday will focus on volunteerism, like almost the entire day. And the bulk of the first part of the day will be about hunger. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off the day by talking about global food inequity, and instead of just giving a presentation and talking to them about why they should care, we're actually going to do a simulation with them. And so as part of that, you all are going to have roles that you will execute because all of the students will be broken into income groups, and they will have a task that they will need to perform that will simulate the way that a person's life is if they have that level of income. So you will be doing things essentially to them to make their lives more challenging. Like last year, we will do the same service project with Kids Coalition Against Hunger, but we will do it a little bit differently than last year. Some of you will remember that we had some challenges because there were students that were not packing when other people were packing. So when we get to seminar, we will talk a bit more about how things will change. Similarly to last year, and most recent years, we will have a dance. Your main responsibility there will just be to watch and make sure that there is no sportsing or gymnastics of any kind. Ross, do you want to talk about this?
So our really like emotional activity is on Saturday evening. It's called Story Itself. I'll be leading this. I've facilitated it before, and it gets very, very emotional, and you get really raw emotions from it. And so just be ready for that, and like keep in mind the mandatory reporting for sometimes. But basically, what the goal of the activity is, each person prepares a 5-minute story based off of a prompt, which is, what is the journey that led you to Michigan Hobie? And so this really gets at the like moments in life that define you as a person and have really changed who you are and made you who you are, which for many of us, and I would argue all of us, include very dark things and things like that. So that it's a tough activity, but trust me when I say this, it's a really, really cool activity, and just be ready for that. And then Sunday morning, our classic Michigan Hobie activity, the Fa Va Fa. It's not really changing all that much anymore. You know it. We will demo it so that everyone's on the same page, because that's been a difficulty in the past. Some people weren't sure what their role was, or all of a sudden they're like, wait, we need you to like stand in between these two groups so they can't do it. But also we need you to do this. We need you to see this role. Everyone will know what they are doing.
The last bit to say about program before we move on to the next thing is also we are doing a different closing ceremony, but you will hear more about what that will entail when you get to the seminar. But there will be some things that will be a little bit different than they have been in the past. So be excited for that, because it should be a bit more dynamic. And
things that aren't exactly just program, but I want to hint at and talk at. With cheers this year, we are taking cheers incredibly more like serious. So we will have a cheer book that will be sent to every single member of junior staff, and I'm even going to send it to the facilitators so they can start looking at it. Each one of us will pick a cheer that we quote unquote own, and our recognition and enthusiasm coordinators will tap you on the shoulder, and you will know that the next cheer is your cheer, and you will know it better than anyone, and you will scream it louder than anyone ever has before. This is, as some of you I know saw last year, we had difficulties with the same cheers just being put in a rotation over and over and over because they were the only ones that certain people knew.
We also had instances where there were difficulties of people knowing the correct lyrics for words for cheers, so this will also help us ensure that people know the words to the cheers that they are leading.
Yeah. And so also just an expectation as a group, our expectations are the same, but we really just expect like for you to be as present as possible and be the great junior staff members that we already know you are because we've seen you do it. At this point, this is for the people who are watching the recording. I want you to text me the word Hugh, as in Hugh O'Brien. All of you that are currently live in this call, do not text me. I got text on the last call. I laughed really hard because I said, do not text me. So if you are watching the recording in the future, hello future, text me the word Hugh. I do want to mention one thing which will be a difficult thing for a lot of people to hear, and so we want to talk about this now instead of at seminar, but we will not be having Jim speak this year.
There are a couple of reasons that we made this decision. One of them is because, as many of you know, Jim has sort of two loyalties in Hobie world. One of them is Michigan Hobie, and one of them is New York Metro, and as luck would have it, they happen to fall on the same weekend. So as a result of the changes that we decided to make with our seminar, we opted to allow him to go to New York Metro. He sends his love. He wishes that he could be in two places at once, but unfortunately he will not be with us this year, which is part of the reason that we chose to implement Story of Self instead.
So expect that to have a lot of the same outcomes and reactions that we've gotten in the past after, like in discussions after Jim's talk. And so that's really the, actually I still have more, never mind. So just a quick on what to bring and expect. Some of this you know, some of this you don't. You are to arrive between 4 and 5 p.m. on Thursday. This will give you time to really settle in, and we can practice cheer. You'll start doing cheer practice at 5, and we will really get them down so that we are the loudest, most coordinated junior staff that I've ever seen and that Michigan Hobie has ever seen. If you have more fundraising money, and please, if you are still fundraising, keep fundraising, bring it with you. Do not send it. We have to submit to Albion almost $12,000 on Thursday as part of our almost $40,000 seminar. Bring that money because we need every single dollar of it to be able to make this happen. And then, as I mentioned in the email, I believe in all caps, we are now a nut-free seminar. We have students who, if someone eats a peanut butter jelly sandwich, has even somewhat of, and also staff, and touches a table, they will go into anaphylactic shock and have to go to the hospital. So this means do not bring anything. If your secret Hobie person wrote that they love Snickers or they love Almond Joy, you will not buy that candy for them. You cannot bring Snickers or any of that to eat in your room. We can't have any of it on campus. We don't even have Honey Nut Cheerios. We don't have almond milk.
There will be no peanut butter in the cafeteria. We have some really serious food allergy concerns. For those of, there are also a couple of staff members with seafood allergies. Those are less severe than the nut allergies, but also know that we made the decision with Albion to also go seafood free because we have a considerable number of food allergies, and we want to do everything we can to not have to use EpiPens and send someone to the hospital. So please, please, please don't make me send a kid to the hospital. Please help us keep the students safe. The parents are trusting us with their children, especially for the students who have such severe food allergies. Those parents have a lot of trepidation, and I really want to keep their trust and not have to call them and say, I'm sorry, I had to send your kid in an ambulance. Please, please help me keep their children safe.
And we know we're talking this kind of gravely, but it is incredibly serious. But also do take some peace of mind that every single student with a medical or dietary concern was placed with a facilitator who either themselves is very experienced because of their own medical conditions or is a medical professional. So we have 3 nurses and 1 staff member with multiple serious health conditions. Every single student with medical conditions was placed with them for that reason. So you will be informed of what every single student in your
facilitator will be informed.
Which then they will pass that to you. So you will know this specific student will pretty much die if they come in contact with peanut butter. You will know if they are a person who may faint. You will know all of that. So you will learn that on Thursday because you will have your group list then. Actually, you already have your group list, but you will learn exactly the things that they are allergic to. Use the packing list that I sent you. I hope it's helpful. I've used it in the past. I just used it for Connecticut Hobie, and it was really helpful for me to make sure I had everything. And then we are no longer in Midland, which means we no longer have a mall. We no longer have a food court at a mall.
We no longer have a Target. We no longer have a Meijer. We do not have a Walmart in Albion. We say this because we need you to be extremely mindful when you pack. People who are minors, we will be taking your keys. Once you're on campus, you cannot leave for any reason. So please be mindful, because if for some reason you forget something, and it isn't something you can purchase at a grocery store, you would have to go to Jackson to get it. So be super, super mindful when you pack.
And so that, I believe, is the last of everything. I'm looking at the 12 list that we have to talk to you about. But we really want to take this moment to thank all of you for staying with our program. It's my first year as full-on director of staff. I'm super excited to work with every single one of our almost 50 member staff this year, and it's just continuously growing. We're really killing it. This program is forever evolving, and it's going to be an amazing program, and we couldn't do it without you. We literally couldn't do it without you, because we couldn't have the students if they didn't have leaders with them. And so we love you, we thank you, and then I'm going to unmute everyone so that we can open it up for question and answer.
Also, please know, we say all of this because we want you to understand that when we know that we have been quite strict in some ways than people have been in the past. We do this for a few reasons. One, because, as Ross said, this is a $40,000 seminar. It takes a small group of people an entire year to plan this. There have been people who have worked year-round as if it were a second job to make this happen. So please be respectful of that. But this is why we've been so focused on making sure that you fundraise as much as humanly possible, because it is not possible to make $40,000 fall out of the sky. We wish it was. That would be really awesome.
Our lives would be so much
but having said that, everything that we have done for the last year wouldn't matter one bit if we didn't have any of you on the call, because everything that we have done cannot actually happen and come to fruition without people like you working with our students. So thank you so much for working with us to fundraise to make this happen, and for working with the students to facilitate the experience that they have. With that, we will take any questions that you have for us.
And I don't know why I'm having issues with unmuting everyone, so if you are saying something and we aren't responding to you, unmute yourself. So shoot them at us.
I think the ones that we can't unmute are self-muted. So if you self-muted, I can't touch you.
Questions?
Hi, you guys.
Who is this?
Valanda.
Hi.
Hey. I think I have two questions. I forgot one, but here's my first one. I haven't sent my check yet, so I will bring it. Do you want check or cash?
Since you're not mailing, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so, all right. I think that was my only question. Oh, actually, another one. So you said that we can bring, like, decorations for our group time section, so we will have the same section every time?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So basically,
okay.
You're blessed. I'm glad you brought that up because I have not mentioned that.
Our new facilities are dope, you guys.
Like, you know,
so
like, the crap of Northwood is no more. There is no more, like, not, like, being able to eat because there's nothing for you if you are vegan or anything of that. Like,
we are so spoiled.
Like, we literally got, like, a walkthrough from them. Like, we were like, well, can we have this? And they were like, yeah. Like,
can we move the tables in the cafeteria? Yeah. Can we have lounges? Can we have lounges that our groups can be in all the time? Yeah. Like, they are so amazing.
So,
so that space is yours. You are the only ones that will use it. Don't, like, leave a bunch of stuff in there because there aren't doors on most of them. But decorate them however you wish.
Oh.
So no more, like, sitting in the awkward end of a hallway and having people walk by while you're talking about, like, death in people's family and really triggering things. That's no more. Anyone else? Did we really cover everything that well that there's only 2 questions? Okay. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the group meet so everyone can see them. That's going to go throughout the seminar.
If they pertain to everyone.
Everything, yeah. If it's a question of like, oh, Ross, can I specifically do this one thing? Text me. If it's, will we have this available to us as staff members? Put that in the group meet so that I don't have to answer it to 50 people.
If you also, just a quick reminder, because we talked about this earlier amongst ourselves, if your group has not declared a theme, you should probably do that so you can buy your swag.
And also because I asked for it to be done yesterday.
Also, make sure that you and your facilitator are coordinating, making contact with your students, not only because they're making contact with us, asking us when you will do so, but also because we need to know that they're coming.
And a question that I've been thinking this whole time that I have something to say. If you haven't yet made contact with them, basically your email or like whatever you send to them is just to be like, hey, I'm this person who has been through the program and I've come back on staff and now I'm back here. I can answer really insider questions because most of our facilitators actually are HOBY alums, but they haven't been back in a long time. So you are really the eyes and ears of this organization, and you can really provide a lot of insight to them. So just opening that line of communication is really important. Did anyone think of a question in the time we were talking?
Could you
Hearing
explain?
none.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you explain that like 5-minute the thing we're doing instead of gym? Can you explain that a little bit more? Are we going to do that when we get there Thursday?
Yeah, we'll talk about that more on site, but there will be very I have like prepared sheets with like tips of things to like think about, and it's really, and we will be doing this too as staff, but we want you to keep in mind the fact that it's really about the students. So don't it's really hard because for a lot of us, our stories that we like use as defining things for us can put us in a corner bawling our eyes out for hours at a time. To kind of tone it down a little, just for them to be able to do that and for you to be able to be functional to serve them instead of them having to serve you.
The short version of what's about to happen is you are telling your story of what has defined you as a person and what has made you the type of person that you are and the type of leader that you are, and what has helped you understand what you want for yourself in life and what you feel your purpose is. So that means that you'll be talking about, or you'll be prompted to consider talking about negative things that have hurt you and have shaped the way that you are as a person, but also like really inspiring positive things that have shaped you as a person and have clarified what you want for yourself and what you need for yourself. So you will, the prompt that he's written out for you is very thorough, so it should be very clear, but there will be a bit of time for brainstorming and then like bullet pointing experiences that you want to talk about, and then you'll essentially be just like speaking from those bullet points to tell them your story.
And I've led this before with a group about a third the size of our seminar, and so it's really easy to scale it up. So I don't see any issues with it, but just remember it is a new program element and it's a very emotional program element. So roll with the punches, and we will talk a lot more about this. Like, this is still the short version on this activity because there is a lot that goes into it, even though it's actually a very simple process to do so.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, this is Sophie. So according to my research, it's supposed to be like 1 billion degrees down there, and I want to wear shorts, but in the past I've been yelled at. And like, I don't have shorts that go down to my knees, but if I wear like semi-appropriate shorts, am I going to be asked to change?
No, but please just be mindful that you are a role model, so I don't want to see anything that's super short.
No, sure. I just I don't know if you have a strict rule on fingertips, because I don't think I own anything that actually went onto my fingertips. But obviously, no booty shorts. I get it.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't want to see booty shorts. But I'm not gonna ask you to hold your hands down. I just don't want to see booty shorts.
Yeah, it's a casual seminar, so I mean, really you can wear anything. Just we are technically teachers in a way, so kind of think of it that way.
So I don't want to see anything that's super ripped or anything like that. And I don't want to see anything that's super short, but I'm not going to police you in any way. And I also don't want to see anything that's super sheer. So 9 times out of 10 you'll be fine. But if there's a question, then don't bring it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can you share with us the colors of the T-shirts, or is that a secret we're going to learn there?
It is, all I will say is it is not the same as it has been in the past.
Okay.
Except for the ambassadors. They're white. Nobody else's color is what it has been before.
But, so it's a fun little surprise. I know that's like
it's
really crappy for packing, but the colors aren't going to be like very like, they're going to, no matter what, they're going to be bright. And they're going to be
no
colorful.
Neon,
Not
but
neon.
It's colorful.
So you'll be fine, and if we're not perfectly matching,
it's Hobie, so it's fine.
Hobie.
Okay.
Anything else? Hearing none, you know how to get a hold of us. We will be sending some emails with a few things in the next 24 hours. They will include a book of cheers, some final reminders of like where to go when you get to campus, a wonderful, no, that already went out. So just a few other last-minute reminders to help you pack and know where to go, and we'll talk to you soon.
And if you have any questions this week, no need to like send it to the both of us. As you can see, we're together. We'll be back in Michigan on Wednesday, and we will see you all on Thursday evening.